All right, next game on the list, we got the L.A. Rams versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Los Angeles Rams look great, by the way, but let me hit you with some projections. Goff, I have as a sit. Malcolm Brown, talking about waiver wire running backs. You need to pick him up. We'll talk about him in a bit. Cam Akers, let me wait and see on Cam Akers. Some things that I saw on film turned out to be, I guess, slightly confirmed. Not a slam dunk, but slightly confirmed in the season. We'll talk about that in a bit. I'm a buyer on Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, seller on everybody else, although I do, again with Higbee, have a decent projection on Higbee, but I'm still selling on Higbee. For Philadelphia, I'm not a start on Carson Wentz this week. We'll see what happens with Miles Sanders. Don't love Boston Scott either, who I think had to leave the game, at least for part of the game. Let's see here. Wide receiver, I'm just going to stay away from wide receiver. I'll start both tight ends. I'll start Ertz and Goedert. I'm going to stay away from wide receiver until these receivers start producing. Take it away, David.
Well, let's talk about a hit and a miss for me here, because Dallas Goedert, man, felt so good for me to watch it all come together week one, because he was a starting tight end in the back half of the second year last year, fantasy-wise, and the concern was, okay, they didn't have any wideouts, the running backs are hurt. Yeah. It was just by necessity. I think week one it's only week one, but I'm going to take this as confirmation. It wasn't by necessity. Dallas Goedert is a legit player, and honestly, he might be the number one receiver for this team this year. I talked about James Robinson being my number one waiver claim. If I got the run, it's between him and Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
I don't think Dallas Goedert should be a free agent in any leagues. I was drafting him all over the place. He was my ideal tight end 2 target, because I prefer taking a top tight end, whether it's Kelsey, Kittle, Ertz, Andrews, Waller. But I've been pairing Dallas Goedert with my Kittle and Kelsey shares all over the place, and now I have trade bait left and right, which kind of harkens back to my selling point. Go tight end early and late in your fantasy drafts if you can. Get one of those top guys and then take a chance on a guy like Goedert, because now you have crazy trade bait. And I'll keep going with the wideouts. I think Deshaun Jackson, he needs to be dropped. Yeah. He was never rosterable, in my opinion. Just he's a 34-year-old wide receiver, hasn't surpassed 750 receiving yards more than once in the past, I believe, 5 years. I think Jalen Reagor showed not only did he play, which is important week one, he caught that big pass. He's going to overtake Deshaun Jackson as the number one wide receiver. I just don't see a worthwhile role or any upside to rostering Deshaun Jackson at this point.
Yeah, agreed on all points. And Goedert, for me, he actually, I mean, it depends on roster. If you need running back, I'm deep in running back. I'm always deep in running back in my leagues just because I go running back heavy. I did not pick up Goedert before the season because somebody ended up dropping Deontay Johnson in my league. And so I put a waiver claim on him. I did some roster movement around. So I was going to pick up Goedert. Now I'm kicking myself for not picking him up and getting that other. So he's going to be my number one waiver wire for me. Now, if you need running back, I mean, Malcolm Brown, who we haven't even talked about yet. Look, this is going to be a running back share. Let me just talk about Malcolm Brown. With the Rams, we know this is going to be a running back share. Who got the goal line carries? Malcolm Brown. Malcolm Brown, I think he scored about 5 touchdowns last year, even with Gurley. Gurley got double-digit touchdowns last year. Malcolm Brown will finish with like 12 touchdowns this year. Don't worry so much about the yardage because he'll get something. I'm telling you, he's already got 2. He's going to finish with 12 touchdowns. Mark the tape.
I'll let you say that. You know what concerns me about that? Because last year, Malcolm Brown, week 1, 11 for 53, 2 rushing touchdowns. He didn't have more than 11 carries any game the rest of the year. He didn't surpass 53 rushing yards any game the rest of the year. He didn't score 2 rushing touchdowns any game the rest of the year. He had a huge week 1. 50-something rush yards, 2 touchdowns, and then he disappeared. It's a little bit different this year, Cam Akers and Todd Gurley, because Akers a rookie and Gurley was a little bit more entrenched. But I want to see it because I was all in on Cam Akers, and I think he is a really good running back. Did he look good last night? No, he didn't look good. Did Malcolm Brown look good? Yes, he did look good. But do I think it's going to be Malcolm Brown being the leading running back for the Rams the whole year? I'm not ready to buy into that. Do I think he's going to be the touchdown maker the whole year? I don't know. I'm not ready to buy into that either because last year it started the same way. They liked him in week 1. They didn't like him at any point after that. So I want to see what Malcolm Brown does in week 2. I don't want to overreact to him on the waiver wire. I think there are a couple other guys at running back who I would like more. One of them, I mentioned James Robinson. I think I might even take Chase Edmonds over Malcolm Brown as a waiver wire ad right now, just because the upside is a lot higher in that offense. I think it's got Edmonds has higher upside as a receiver. So I'm a little bit more wait and see with Malcolm Brown. I do think he's going to have value this year, but I also think week 1 could be his best game.
Why I think, and all points taken, why I think this year's a little bit different, a couple of things. So I mentioned Cam Akers. When I watch, and when I do for the Fantasy Football Almanac, when I watch the film and all the rookies and everything, when I saw the Cam Akers film and the way he ran, he was getting a lot of his carries out of the shotgun, running, behind that FSU, not great offensive line, but decent offensive line, getting a lot of yards, kind of like actually what we see Kenyon Drake do in Arizona, run from the shotgun, running, through holes, people expecting pass. He takes advantage of that. But I didn't see him push the pile very, very effectively. And when I saw him play against Dallas last night, that to me was not that I'm selling a Cam Akers by any stretch, but I'm thinking, is he the guy situationally that the Rams are going to lean on to run out the clock when they're winning? Is he the guy that they're going to lean on situationally if you are first and goal from the 1 yard line? Is Cam Akers going to be in there taking that carry? And I don't think that he's going to grow into that this season. And I would say the same. We've talked about it on the show. Darrell Henderson, yes, I know this is kind of a 3-headed monster at running back, but when somebody comes in with draft capital, drafted in the first 3 rounds at running back, and they get opportunity their rookie year, but they can't take it, like we saw with Henderson, I'm generally selling on it until I see otherwise. So I look at Brown. I don't think he's particularly a great running back. I think starting him would be like going to prom with your cousin. I'm not super high on the idea of it, right? But he's a guy that when I see on film, he's the one running back with toughness in an offensive system that rewards running backs with toughness. Now, Gurley last year, he's a guy that can get you a yard. Gurley, I always felt was going to outscore it. That's why I think it's different this season. I realize that a lot of people watching this, like you might think it's an overreaction. I think it's more that Cam Akers needs to put on some weight, like what we saw Ronald Jones do this offseason. He needs another 15 or 20 pounds to really hit his stride this year. But I do think he has value as well. So there you go. Let me hit you the line, dude. What are we? We're halfway through the games, David. We're an hour into the podcast. We're going to have to split this into 2 parts. All right. Let's move a little faster then. The LA Rams +3 against the Eagles. What do you think?
Honestly, that's tough. I definitely wouldn't bet on this game because I have no idea. I'll probably flip a coin.
Flip a coin?
Yeah.
Then I'm going to say that you took Philly. The coin landed on Philly just for a little bit of intrigue.
I don't know what I'd pick. I flip a coin.
I didn't watch the whole Eagles game, but I didn't like what I saw. I'm going to go back and watch all these games as I always do when I make my picks, so I might change this a little bit. But the Rams came out. I said earlier I thought the Cowboys played well. I thought the Rams played better.
Give me the Rams. Give me the Rams.
You're going to take the Rams?
I'm not flipping a coin because Philly's offensive line didn't look good.
Yeah.
And Aaron Donald, I could see him putting pressure. Philly, let's see the offensive line come together a little bit. Let's see you get some help there first. I'm a little bit worried about that matchup the more I think about it.
Yeah, defense in flux. How that defense ended up blowing a lead to Dwayne Haskins is beyond me. I can't wait to watch that and see what happened. The Rams, I think they're a more mature team. They're not the Rams of last year. They're better. And they fixed a lot of offensive line issues, or at least appeared to be fixed. I'll take the Rams. The Eagles, man, they need to one of these years they need to start fast. We don't want to see them go 7-1 to end the season, although I guess it's good to enter the playoffs on a tear. But I'm a little worried because Dallas looked like the better team. Both teams 0-1. Dallas looked like the better team this week.